Hey, how you doing, everyone? It's Keith Hayden here with another weekly update. Just going to go over real quick what you can expect from this video. I'm going to talk about the different pieces of microfiction that I wrote last week when I was supposed to be resting. Of course, I was still writing. I'm talking about a military game tech fiction anthology that I'm probably going to be putting together pretty soon. The print book publishing process, it's new to me, and I've already made some advances in that sphere. You can probably see next to me. I'll talk about that a little bit more. Then I'll talk about, of course, my main project, as you know, Sirius and Limnic Escape from Okinawa. I'll give you an update about what I did there. I'll talk about my Nihongo progress. It's going very well, and I can't wait to share with you some of the fun things that I've been doing with my Japanese. And then I'll talk about how I'm starting to draw. That's right. But I'm not really starting. I'm just picking it back up. And I'll tell you how and why AI is kind of in the mix there. And then I'll finally talk about ways that I'm humanizing my business. And if you're running a creative business, you're definitely going to want to stay tuned until the very end. Now that ridiculous YouTube recap thing is over, let's get into this. And I'm timing myself this week because these things kind of take a little bit to make, because obviously I have to write down what I did. And then there's a little bit of post-production, but not much, because I'm trying to keep these as organic as possible. So yeah, I don't want this to take too long. So let's get right into it. Last week was my birthday. So happy birthday, me. And I was resting. I was still resting. This is the second week that I was just after the sprint that was February, writing my military autobiography, doing the audiobook. It was just 4 weeks straight of just keep going. I was dead, so I needed some time to kind of go into a slower gear, and I did that last week. But I still wrote, and one of the things that I did was write these pieces of microfiction. And if you've been on my website recently, maybe you've seen these. I'll show you just one of them. And it's a simple process. All I'm doing is using the story generator, the military game tech story generator that I've showed you before, as you've seen, if you've seen the last videos or previous videos, and then I'm putting it in, and it feels like a very Mad Libs type of process, except with the power of AI for images and writing, you can create an entire world very quickly, and I love that. It's so much fun putting these together, telling these stories, and bringing these characters and these scenarios to life. As you can see, I've done some translation here as well. And then I'll talk a little bit more about how I'm also doing Japanese readings of these. So these have been really fun to make, and I'm just kind of enjoying that process. I'm not really trying to do anything with these really, but they've kind of accumulated, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, which leads me to the military game tech fiction anthology. I realized in the last 6 or 7 months or so, I've written 16 or so either short stories or microfiction pieces. And last week I just went through and kind of accumulated them all and went back, and here they all are. And you can see each one of these squares, this is a canvas in Obsidian, each one of these is a piece of microfiction, of military game tech fiction. And it's interesting because I hadn't come up with the military game tech fiction idea yet, but that's just kind of how I think. I'm thinking future stories. They talk about the future. They deal with future issues, possibly future technology. So they're all kind of in that vein anyway. So I was like, man, this is kind of cool. This would be a great way to introduce more people to my writing, and then also introduce people to the world of Sirius and Limnic, which I'm going to be putting in Operation Silent Thunder, The Legend of Cheeks. I love this story. I went back and read it, and it's just a really fun story. And the fact that I wrote it in like 3 or 4 days also I'm like, wow, like I think this is just great. Maybe that's just me blowing smoke up my own ass. I don't know. You be the judge. You go and check it out. It's on my Substack. You can go find it there. But this will be cool to introduce people to the universe that I'm building, and more people to my writing. I'm really excited about putting this together. And I think the lesson that I took away from this is, publishing your work on your own platform. First, I say website, but on your own platform really doesn't matter where you do it, as long as it's just not on social. Because that was the reason I didn't know I'd written so much, was because I had posted most of the original stories on social first, not on my website. So I had to go back and find them and do the search thing, which is also always a little bit weird to actually find stuff. And I had to go look it up. So it's better when you own your own stuff. Of course, you can save it, you have it on your computer, but it's different when you see it. Like when I finally made that canvas last week, I was like, wow, I didn't know I had this many. And then just keeping track of your wins, like especially if we're in the content creation business of, which if you're running a business today, you probably are in the content creation business, or maybe you didn't even know that you were yet. But when we're putting these things together, we don't realize how much we're putting out. We just put stuff out and then, okay, maybe we're doing a certain strategy where we go back and repurpose things. But I know a few creators that do track what they put out, but I've tried it and it just doesn't work for me to track like every post. It adds more friction to an already very frictionful process. Frictionful, yeah, I said that. So anyway, keeping track of your wins in your own way, that's a great way to go for when you're running your business. And that brings me to, I'm so proud to announce the print book publication of Hayden Brave. Last week, I was putting together a series of covers, and I tweeted or posted about this last week, to where I've made a lot of ebook covers, but print covers are kind of a different beast. They take more time, they take more attention and care. It's not a place where you really want to mess around. But like all things, you know how I do here at Hack Studios, I just kind of jump in, and that's how I ended up with this beauty right here. I just got it in the mail today. This is the new cover of Serious and Limnic, which I made myself, and you can see it right there. The characters there. So it says not for resale because this is an author copy, so it's just like a proof basically. So yeah, there's still some things I want to tweak about this, but just look at this. Look at this. I'm so proud of the spine. Look at the spine there. Right there. You got it centered. Yeah, it just looks nice. The back, it's looking a little, gonna have to, fix some things up there, but it's there. It exists. And this is my first cover that I made myself. So I'm very proud of this. Just to see Hack Studios on there, my publishing imprint on there is really cool. Hayden Brave will get the same treatment, but I'm still in the phase. I still have some tweaking to do on the file. But the lesson learned here is just owning your own work, as far as how easy it is for me to go back and change something like my cover, because I'm the one that's making the cover. I'm the one that's publishing the book. I don't have to call somebody up and wait for days, weeks for them to go in and do it for me like I've had to do in the past. I just go in and do it when I'm ready to do it. And that is so liberating. I literally ordered this last week and I made the change the same day. So it's just, I see how much faster I can work just thanks to the new tools that we have. And then valuing your own work as well. That's one of the things that I'm trying to do better. Instead of just throwing up the book on Amazon and just, devil may care, see what happens. I want to own this process of, hey, I'm only making so many books. And I announced this on Twitter X that, hey, I'm only printing so many books. And with every book that sells, the price goes up because I want it to be a valued item. And I think we forget that we can do that. I know I do, just because social media nowadays has kind of become all consuming, and we're used to, okay, well, I can just watch the video later. I can just tag it or bookmark it or whatever. I can watch it later anytime. It doesn't have to be that way though. When you place a rarity on your work, it naturally rises because all of a sudden people are like, holy shit, there's only so many of these. I better get one while the getting's good. Something to think about. It does require you to own your own stuff though. Like you need to take control of that process, but we'll see how it goes, right? Next, Serious and Limnic Escape from Okinawa. This is, of course, my main project that's coming up. As I said, I was going at a lower gear last week, so I didn't work on it as much, but I did get the title translation decided, and maybe that seems like nothing to you, but this is a big deal when it comes to a project like this. And here you can see the graphic and the title here. I decided on this Serious and Limnic Okinawa. This says Dashutsukeki. Dashutsukeki. Dashutsu is escape, and geki is like drama. Geki is also the same reading for geki as in to attack, like geki is to attack. So that it kind of has that kind of homonym thing going for it. I was really happy with this image that I used, and the way I was able to get it done using Midjourney it just worked out really great. Just using different techniques to get the old image and make it continuous, right? And then I updated the old image as well. This was the original, just kind of, it's okay. It's not bad. It's just a little bit bland. I was going for the military font here, and that's the balance with something like this. It's like military, I was thinking military sci-fi, but now that we're going military game tech, I wanted to jazz it up a little bit. So I added this funky font to make it pop a little and make it match the other one. And then I added these glitches, and then of course a military game tech fiction novel, but it's mostly the same. I centered the alien craft and did some things, but it's mostly the same as it was in the background. So this is pretty cool. If you want to follow this project, I hope that you do, because this is a huge project in many ways. And the main element, of course, is that this is a dual market project. This is an English-Japanese. Like, I am actively marketing this on Japanese channels. On my Japanese Twitter, I have a Japanese Twitter, and I have a Japanese YouTube channel. And you can go check it out if you want. If you just want to, you won't understand everything on there because it's all going to be in Japanese. But hey, you go over there and support if you want. But obviously, I've never done this type of thing before, and it's not something that I've really seen any creators do. Most creators are exclusively an English-speaking market, and it tends to be a European, U.S. heavy audience. That's just the experience that I've seen. But yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing somebody I'm going into a completely different market, and I'm just going to let it ride. And of course, I'm not doing this blind, and that leads me to the lessons learned with this, that, when I'm not doing, I have a ton of experience with Japanese culture, obviously with the Japanese language, and there's no way I would do this just by translating stuff, like by using AI or using translators and, just to go and translate into French or something. I don't know anything about the French market. I don't know anything, even with Spanish. I spent many years studying Spanish, and I feel like, even though it's weird to say, I grew up in Texas where Hispanic culture is very prevalent, and I just didn't feel that connection with Spanish culture as I do with Japanese culture. And a lot of it's an exposure thing as well, like the way I've been exposed to Japanese culture. But bottom line is, you got to understand your market. You can't just go out and translate stuff and then hope it'll hit, because that's all you're going to be doing is hoping. Like, there's a strategy to this. There's a cultural nuance. There's an emotional piece. Just like in English, it's the Japanese market responds to certain things differently. And the only reason I know what those things are, or at least I have an idea of what they are, is because I lived over here. I've studied Japanese for 20 years. I understand the culture well enough to make something like this. And so I have no idea how it's going to go, but we'll see what happens. And if you are a native Japanese person and you're interested in this, hey, go to the website and join up. I have a Japanese landing page where you can learn more about military game tech fiction. Dozo. And speaking of Japanese, my Japanese shinko, my progress has just been, it's been so good. I'm really pleased with my progress. I'm listening to audiobooks now. My vocabulary is just going through the roof. I recorded a series of videos of me reading my own microfiction on my Japanese YouTube channel, and I was keeping that up for a while. I missed yesterday, but I intend to do it more and continue practicing and getting more output there. And then just yesterday, I completed a major event. I was a contest official in a Toastmasters contest, and I had to be in there as the only foreigner, and when they were conducting all of the meetings and the planning and everything in Japanese. And that was the lesson I learned from there, which was really humbling, being the second language learner. Because all my life, as a native English speaker, I've been the native, I've been in the majority. Of course, there's been English language learners in everywhere, from grade school to high school to college. It's been all throughout my life. And I've never had the experience of being, okay, now the roles are reversed. Now you're in a situation where this is not a classroom or an academic setting. This is real world. We're trying to get shit done, and it's all going to be in Japanese. So, yeah, at least most of it. I'd say like 80%, 90% of the proceedings and the planning and the prep were in Japanese. And that was different. It was humbling, but it was also it felt good because I felt confident being there, that I could understand enough Japanese, that I could communicate in Japanese if I needed to, that I had never been in that situation. And I remember the last time being here, being in some of these situations where my Japanese was kind of shaky and I couldn't really rise to that level. And now, 10 some odd years later, it's a different story. So that's just a testament to keep going, and keep pushing, right? Keep growing. And I missed one of the bullets up here. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about Novel Commander. So Novel Commander, real quick, this is the learning component of the Serious and Limnic Escape from Okinawa. Since I'm going to be using the AI to assist me in writing these books, I want to make this process available because there's not a lot about writing books with AI out there. So I want to make this process available to those of you who are interested in writing your own book and using AI to help speed you along. Right now, Novel Commander is free because it's literally like 3 or 4 emails in the sequence. There's not much there. But as I start working on the course or on the books, it's going to build out, and it's not going to be free for much longer. So you might want to sign up today if you're interested in writing a novel anytime soon. Probably a good idea. So that brings me to AI. AI inspired me to start drawing. Why? Okay, I understand. Here we go. I'm going to dip my toe into the AI art thing, which I know is always not a smart thing to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. The first reason is I like drawing, and I've posted a few of my drawings on Twitter, X. Here's one that I did recently. Just a simple leaves and acorns on a tree, and just things like that. I've realized it's like any other skill. It's interesting being a beginner in this because there's a lot to learn, but as you learn more techniques and as you get better, then it's easier to mix and match those things and bring them together and actually make good art. The reason too is because of AI art, and AI image generation, whatever camp you're in, whatever you want to call it. I've always had a kind of weirdness with it. Yes, obviously I do use it, and I know how to use it well enough to where, if I didn't tell you, you probably wouldn't be able to know that I was using it. But, or maybe you can if you're an experienced AI art user, or if you're an artist, maybe. But here's the deal with it. What I've seen, and I had this opinion last year too, but what I've seen is just this, a lot of people are testing out the technology, but then there's a group of people who have found it and they're not testing. They're just using it. And so I'm already starting to see the same types of images coming out. They have the same look and feel. It has there is an AI signature look, just like the base level output from any of the major generators, from Midjourney, from DALL-E 3, from Stable Diffusion, whichever one you're using. They all have kind of a base AI sheen. If you've seen enough of the images, then you know what I'm talking about. And I don't really like that. I'm not a fan of the aesthetic. To be clear, I don't care about the ethical piece or whatever. That's not how I see it. I know enough about how the technology works to know that it's really making unique stuff every time. So when you like compare it to the law and what it says and fair use and all that stuff, it doesn't really hold up. But anyway, I'm not going to get into all that. The point is that I don't like that look. Like, it's just not my preference. And I like drawing, like I said. So I started writing something here and I didn't finish writing it, but one of my goals is to create my own manga. And I know that I could probably use an AI generated images to make a manga. I understand I could do that, but I want to actually draw the manga. I want to draw it myself. And maybe that sounds weird from somebody who can't really draw right now, but it was the same with music just 3 years ago. I had no idea that actually it was around this time, 3 years ago exactly, that I started making music for the first time. And now I've made 78 songs. So I know I can get the skill there. It's just a matter of reinforcing it and using it. But this is just a preference. And AI, just like I said, the lesson learned is art is like any other skill. It takes time. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Moving on. Finally, I'm talking about my email strategy, and this was something that I posted about last week on Twitter X, talking about how I'm tired of getting robo emails. And what spurred this was last week, as I said, was my birthday. So, you get the slew of automated happy birthday emails and from people who don't really know you, but it's just that they're seeing your birthday come up in the system, and then it's an automated email to get you to engage with them again. And I got a few of those, but then that kind of caused me to step back and look at the rest of my inbox and see just how many unpersonalized emails were in there, how many mass Substack newsletters, email list, random product email list, you name it. How many of these were on there? And it was stunning. Shocking. I went through like 2-3 pages of emails, 150, 200 emails, and I'd say on each page, it was 95% of non-personalized emails, or like not really personalized. They'll put your name, hey, Keith, how you doing? But it's really just automated, right? So I kind of thought about that, and I was like, that kind of sucks. And not just because it was my birthday, but it's just kind of like we're moving to this world where so much of the stuff is automated. It's already like this. I mean, we're already living in that world, right? Your feed's automated. Stuff you order stuff, it's automated. The emails are automated, all this stuff. And running a creative business, I think that's one of the edges that we have as creators, is that we can be more personable. We can be more warm and more human in not just our works of art, but in how we interact with our customers, who may be also our fans or our friends. We can change that. We don't have to go for the guru setup of, get a massive email list of people and just start, it's all volume. Just start blasting out emails until eventually somebody will click buy just because you've emailed them enough, and for whatever reason they buy. You could do that. And a lot of people do go for that strategy. And for many years, when I was coming up on social media, that was the dominant strategy that I was being exposed to. That's what people were doing on LinkedIn and on X and on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram. It's volume. They're definitely doing on YouTube. It's just, you have to get a lot of eyes or a lot of attention to get a lot of money. That type of formula. But I think some people are just getting tired of it. I know I am. I know I would love to see more personable, and I do follow a couple of people on social media that do this well, that they are good at not just being a guru, a talking head person, but actually a real person in their business and in their creative work with whatever they're making or their service or whatever. And so this is what I'm trying to do more with my stuff. Like, it's one of the reasons why I'm drawing. It's one of the reasons why I'm, as imperfect as it is, I'm making videos of me speaking Japanese, because I've known over the years a lot of people who claim to be good at speaking Japanese, but somehow you never see them speak Japanese. Like, not once. Like, you go on their YouTube and maybe there's one or two videos, but it's mostly them talking about, oh, I've learned Japanese to this high level, but ain't no proof. What the fuck is that? And so I was like, no, it's time to be about it. I'm still a student of the language as well. And so, yeah, of course I'm going to screw up. I'm not saying I know everything, but I've learned it enough to know how to learn it well. And I've experienced the culture enough to know the language well. So I want to talk about that. But it goes back to humanizing my business and being authentic and just being as real as possible with people. So, one, you know what you're getting. And two, people know that there's a real person over here behind this business, behind the mic, behind the video. Could I be a deep fake now? Of course I could be. I'm telling you I'm not. If whether you think I am, that's up to you. But the point is, the more times I show myself as actually human, that's one of the reasons why I don't cut these videos. You know, I don't do the whole YouTube cut, jump cut. You know, they all do this. I don't do that. I screw up, I just keep going. I just keep rolling. And that's why it's one take. Another reason is just fucking easier. It's faster. I don't have to spend time editing. Okay, I'm finished. Just throw it up, publish. But it just brings more humanity to my business. So I challenge you, maybe there's some parts of your business that you've been automating, and maybe it's time to, hey, shut down the automation for a little bit, see what happens, start emailing people. And honestly, I'll tell you, last week I started this once a day. Like I said, my email list isn't that big, but I emailed one person on my list. And if somebody joined that day, then I emailed that new person. And what I did was I just took what I knew. Now, some people I don't know much about, just based on their circumstances of how they find me. I'm not really sure. But there was one guy who found me, and I actually had a conversation. He's got a book coming out at the end of the month. Shout out to you, Vince. Thanks for taking my email. And we started a dialogue, and that was cool. And that's something that wouldn't have happened in the mass emails. You know, I couldn't speak directly to him. And I think that's what more people want. That's what I want to do more of. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to see what happens. Business be damned. And that's the way I'm going to roll things from this point forward. So my plan is these videos will come out once a week. These weekly updates, especially with the way I'm doing them now, I think they're a lot more valuable than what I was doing before. And these will still come out once a week. But you may not hear from me until I get to you, or if you contact me, of course, I will respond. But yeah, that's just the way it is, because I want to build that personal connection. That's the type of business that I'm running. I'm not trying to build Costco. I know I'm building a general store. I know I am. Like, at least that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I want. I don't really have a desire to run a list of 1,000 people or thousands of people and doing it that way. And that's a problem for later. Right now, I'm just looking at what I've got now, and that's what I'm going to run things. I'm going to run the show. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe you think it's a stupid idea. Maybe you think it's like, man, you're leaving money on the table, man. What are you doing? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. Plans for this week. Tomorrow is the day. This is the last day of rest today, even though I'm putting out this video and I did another blog post. Anyway, this is the last official day of rest. Tomorrow, I'm getting back to business of the books. Serious and Limnic cover, Hayden Brave print cover. Got to finish up those things. The Military Game Tech Fiction Anthology. Need to make a cover. Need to get them all organized and formatted. That might take maybe a week or something. I don't know. And then moving on to Serious and Limnic. Escape from Okinawa to finally start this project and accelerate and get it going. I'm so excited to share this project with you. But thanks for listening to this week's weekly updates. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked what you heard, subscribe to this channel and check out the stuff in the description. That's going to be all the links to my website, and I'll have links to certain stuff that I mentioned in this update, as far as the microfiction and novel commander and all those different things. If If you have questions, let me know. Until next week, see you then.